Day 22, I think. Yes, day 22. So hopefully you're enjoying some of your break. So day 22 is going to be 2017 state test. So I will take some questions from that. And day 23, which is Tuesday, will also be the second half. And then I'll figure out what kind of other questions I can throw in. Okay, so let's, without further ado, let's start day 21. Have a calculator. Um, Point P is shown on the number line below. The distance between Q and point P is 6.5 units. Which number could represent point Q? Well, point P is at -4, so point P is at -4. So it could go six units and a half this way, or 6 units and a half this way. So whichever way you decide to go. So if it's 6 units, you just can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. So that's going to bring us to -10.5 on this side. And 6 units this way would be, well, they're going by ones, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, or 2.5 positive. And are either of those are a choice here? Yes. C, 2.5. 10.5, but it's not negative, so that's gone. 1.5 makes no sense, and 9.5 makes no sense. So the only one that it is 2.5. Let me just do something here. Número 3. Which representation shows a proportional relationship between x and y? By now, should be tired of these. So you're looking for one that starts at the origin. So A is gone. B doesn't make any sense. And then C and D, although it's not graphed, right? It's not visually. You can just see if it's proportional. See if the relationship is the same from each x to y. So it's times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 8 times 4 is not 24, so C is gone. 2 to 3. How does 2 become a 3? So is it 2 times 1.5? So 2 times... So if you... 2 times 1.5 is 3. So just by process of elimination, C is gone, B was gone, A was gone. You know the answer is D, but I just want to make sure that you understand why. So if you look at K, at constant proportionality, let's look at this point. So it's 3 over 2, right? Let's look at the second one. K is 6 over 4, which becomes 3 over 2. K equals 12 over 8. And if you simplify 12 over 8, it becomes 3 over 2, right? Because divide by 4, divide by 4. And the last one, k equals y over x, which is 18 over 12. And you can divide by 6. 18 divided by 6 is 3, and 12 divided by 6 is 2. So they all have 3.2. So k for any of these points is 3 over 2, or if you like, 1.5. And if you multiply 2 times 1.5 is 3, 4 times 1.5 is 6, 8 times 1.5 is 12, and 12 times 1.5 is 18. So we know definitely is D. Miss Garland bought an X number of shirts for new members of her chorus. The cost for X shirts, including shipping, the cost for X number of shirts, including $3.99 shipping, was $77.49. Each shirt was $12.25. There was no sales tax on this purchase. Which equation could be X to find shirts? So she bought the shirts. 12.25 was each shirt times however many, right? Plus $3.99 for the shipping. All that should have equaled 77.49. So that's my equation. The price of the shirts times however many I bought, plus $3.99, and hopefully it was just $3.99 for the whole thing, for the whole purchase. And that all equals $77.49. Do I have something that looks something like this? The cost of so 12. Yeah, I do. Look right here. So Tuesday, 3 Every 5 years in March, the population of a certain town is recorded. In 1995, the town had 4,500 people. So in 1995, and then from 1995 to 2000, the population increased. So in the year 2000, the population increased by 15%. So if you had 4,500, let's multiply that by 1.115, and that means the population in the year 2000 is 5,175. So you could have done two ways: 4,500 times 1.15, and that gives you 5,175. Or if you did 4,500 times 0.5, and you would have found out that 4,500 times 0.15, sorry, equals 675, right? That's how many people. That's the increase of population. So if you add 4,500 plus 675, you get 5,175. So either you do method 1, which is more practical, or method 2. It doesn't really matter. So in 2000, you had 5,175 people. And then in 2005, it said it decreased by 4%. So you have 5,175 people, and obviously the population went down. So it's going to be a value that's less than this 5,175. So right away, I can get rid of that. So let's see what a decrease of 4% looks like. So 5,175, you could have multiplied this by 0.96 in your calculator, because that's right. So 4%, 100 minus 4% is 96. So 5,175 times 0.96, it gives us a population of 4,968, and the correct answer is B. Or if you did 5,175 times 0.04, which is 4%, right? 5,175 times 0.04, and that gives you that it was population declined by 207. And then you take the total, subtract by 207, and you get exactly what we got before, which was 4,968. So the population in 2005 was 4,968. So it doesn't matter which method you use. Winston needs at least 80 signatures from students. So again, a lot of these questions were put on your tests throughout the year, so you might recognize them, but that doesn't mean you can't do it again. So he needs 80 signatures so he can run for president. He already has 23. He and 2 of his friends plan to get the remaining signatures during lunch. If a person gets the same amount of signatures, which inequality can Winston use to determine the minimum number of signatures each person should get so he can run for class president? So he needs at least 80 signatures. So whatever he's getting, he needs to be greater than 80 or greater or equal to 80. So that could be a hint already of what to look for. So anything that's pointing the other way, you can get rid of. So this and this right away could be garbage. So he has 80 signatures, and he has 23 already. So 23 plus, now he has to figure out, the rest. Now he's going to have 3 friends, him and 2 other friends, and him and the other 2 people, the other 2 friends, have to gather signatures. So each person is going to get the same amount of signatures. So 3 times the number of signatures plus the 23 signatures they already have to be greater or equal to 80. So in a way, just by understanding, just by looking at the problem this way, you knew that it had to, whatever, they're collecting signatures, and you knew it had to be greater or equal to 80. So B was gone because that says less than 23. D was gone because that says less than 80. So that too, those 2 are garbage. Now, even if you didn't get to this point, look at choice A and B. Choice A says that it has to be greater or equal to 23. That makes no sense. It has to be greater or equal to 80. So we could have eliminated that. And look, without doing much of anything, you could have gotten the answer just by knowing this fact. Okay. 5, the measure of one side of a square, so it's a square, so let me draw the square, it's s plus 3. So which means every side is also s plus 3, s plus 3, s plus 3. It's a square. We want to know which pair of expressions both represent the perimeter. So to find a perimeter, we would do s plus 3 plus s plus 3 plus s plus 3 plus s plus 3, right? Or the very shortcut would be 4 times s plus 3, right? Because they're all the same. So we're looking for something that shows this and this. Anything that has 4 parentheses s plus 3 sort of is what we're looking for. So this is a potential one. This is a potential one. This has 2 times s plus 3. It's not. It's 4 times because the square has 4 sides. So that's garbage. And this one, 2s plus 3, makes no sense. Garbage. So this one, so between C and D, C has 4s plus 3 and D has 4 times s plus, I'm sorry, I shouldn't even consider C, because D has 4 times s plus 3 in parentheses, and C has 4s plus 3. That's definitely wrong. So the only correct one is this one. Remember, each side is represented by s plus 3. So this whole thing represents one side. So that's why we have to multiply 4 parentheses, and we're multiplying 4 times this whole side, which is represented by s plus 3, and not definitely letter C. 8. In a morning, a farm worker packed 3 pints of strawberries every 4 minutes. 3 pints, 4 minutes. In the afternoon, he packed 2 pints, 3 minutes. Maybe he got tired. What's the difference between her morning and afternoon packing rates in pints per hour? So we have to find the rate per hour. So 60 minutes. If he does 3 pints in every 4 minutes, how much will he do in 60 minutes, which is an hour? So this times 15. Times 15. So that means that in the morning she did 45 pints. In the afternoon, again, let's take that rate and change it to hour, which is 60 minutes. So it's 3 times 20 and 2 times 20, which is 40 pints. So obviously it slowed down the afternoon, because in the afternoon was 40 pints per hour and the morning was 45, and the difference is 5. 6, which expression has the same value as 15? Wow. So they want to rewrite this in a different way. So remember, a subtraction problem can be written as an addition problem by adding its additive inverse. So 59.2, I'm going to change the subtraction to addition. And this one, the 84.7, we change it to its additive inverse, which is the opposite, or 84.7, but negative. Is there anything that looks like this? 59.2, no. Well, the 59.2 has to be positive, right? So this one is garbage. And we have one that's exactly the same. Right? This one doesn't work because of negative and negative. This is going to be positive, right? And this one has 84.7 as positive, so that's garbage. So you can really just look at your multiple choice and get your answer by knowing facts about your expression here. Which expressions make the equation true for all values of x? So if the equation is going to be true, then this side has to be the same as this side. So what can I put on this side, on the right side, that's equal to the left side? So think about 16x minus 16, and so they're asking, how can we turn this guy over here into something that looks like this? So this jury property, think about it. So if I pull out the 4 times what gives me 16? Well, times 4, and don't forget the x. Minus, and 4 times what gives me 16? Which is 4. So is there anything that looks like this? Because I have to put this in here. And we have letter A. It's the only one that makes sense, right? So if you want to use the ladder method, those of you who like it, you could have done this. You could have asked yourself what goes into both numbers. Well, 4 is a big candidate. 4 goes to 16 4 times, 4x, and minus 4. Okay, and the only reason we're not pulling the GCF, by the way, it's not the greatest common factor. We're pulling a 4. And why did I pull a 4? Because they told us that the 4 was outside. So we're looking for something that can be inside the parentheses that can be multiplied by this term here, by the 4 outside, and give you 16x minus 16. Which number is equivalent to 43 over 12? That should, let's see if you have a calculator. Let's see what happens. 43 divided by 12 is 3.5. So in the calculator, if you enter that in your calculator, you get this answer right here. 3.58333333 forever and ever and ever. So that could be changed to 3.58. And notice the number that's repeating, and the repeating number is a 3. So you're going to put a 3 over here and the bar notation on top of that. So the only one that looks like that is B. This one has a bar notation on top of the 83, so that says 83 is repeating. It would be 83, 83, 83, which is not the case. This one doesn't even have a bar notation, garbage. And this one has a bar notation on 583, which means they're saying that it's 583, 583, 583, which again, is not the case. 12, the expression below has a positive value, which inequality represents all possible values of x in the expression. So negative 3 times x here, this value x, right, has to be positive. So what numbers can I put in here to make that true? Well, first of all, if I put, let's see, positive numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc., all positives, well, if I put any positive number, what happens here? Let's put a positive sign that represents all the positive numbers. A negative times a positive becomes a negative, so it doesn't work, right? Because I want the answer to be positive. So if I put positive numbers in here, it's really not going to work. Now, what happens when so you can play around with this. Think about what number I can put in here to make it a positive answer. Obviously, it has to be a negative number, any negative number. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3.5, negative a million. Any negative number, if I put in here, will give me a positive. Why? Because a negative times a negative becomes a positive. So I'm looking for all negative numbers. So x has to be a number less than 0, correct. Can x be a number greater than 0? Incorrect. X has to be less or equal to 0. If I put 0 in here, is negative 3 times 0 a positive number? No, because that says 0 is included in this in this set of numbers, but it's not. So likewise, this one doesn't make sense. So the only thing that makes sense are all numbers less than 0, because they're all going to be negative. And the negative times a negative gives you a positive. 11. She needs... I really don't like these questions. Mr. Santino needs a total of 406 forks for his restaurant. He currently has 278, so he doesn't need 478. So he needs. I'm gonna subtract this as I go along. I'm not even minus 278, so that means he needs 128 more forks. So he's going to go shopping, and when he goes shopping, each set or each box has 12 forks. Right? What's the minimum number of sets of forks he should buy? Well, he needs 128. Every box comes with 12 forks, so I'm going to divide 128 divided by 12. So he's going to need 10. If he buys 10 boxes, think about that. So the answer in the calculator is 10.6 bar notation, right? So you can't buy 10.6 boxes, so you need to buy 11 boxes. And the reason you need to buy 11 boxes, if you buy 10 boxes, right, each box has 12, that means you get 120 forks. And obviously, that's not enough because he wanted 128. So you need to buy 11 boxes. So 11 boxes times 20 times 12 gives you 132. So 10.6 rounded here becomes 11 because you need 11 boxes to get 132. 13. What is this? Jensen stopped a rest area A along the highway. His map shown below has a scale of 1 inch to 35 miles. So here's A and here's B. Jen planned to stop a rest area B next. So he's going down. Where is it? The actual distance in mile between the two areas. Wow. So it says that 1 inch on your map is the same thing as 35 miles in real life. Right? So write it like that. And then he measured with a ruler. And this is apparently 2.5 inches. How much is that in real life? Okay, so what's the relationship here? Times 2.5. So here it has to be times 2.5. Okay, so 2.5 times 35 is 87.5. Okay. So this is the answer. If you didn't, I'm pretty sure you're not going to. So if you think about this, if this is 2.5, this is about an inch. This is about no. So this is about 1 inch from here to here. That's 1 inch. From here to here, about another inch. So this is 35 miles. This is another 35 miles. And what's half of 35? It's 17.5. So you could have done it this way, likewise too. And just add them, right? 1 inch is 35 miles, another inch is another 35 miles, and then half of that, 17.5, you would have gotten the same answer. 14. Which statement describes a decimal equivalent of 7 over 8? So 7 over 8, divide that, and in your calculator you get 0.875. Its decimal was a repeating digits of 5. It's not, because the 5 doesn't repeat. It actually ends right here. The decimal was a repeating digits of 75. Nope. It's a decimal that terminates after 2 decimal places. Well, there's 1, 2, 3 decimal places, so that's also out. It's a decimal that terminates or ends after 3 decimal places. Does it end after 3 decimal places? 1, 2, 3. Yes, it does. Oops. Correct answer. Letter D. 15. Which expression is equivalent to the expression shown below? I might actually have to do some work here. So we're using the distributive property. This times this times that, this times this, and then we subtract minus 3x. So first of all, negative and a negative is a positive, right? So you don't need to write the bottom. I'll just put it there. And 1 times 3 is 3, and at the bottom 2 times 2 is 4. And we put the x, and I'm going to get rid of this guy here. Second, negative times a positive is a negative. And 1/2 times 6 is just 3, but not 3, but 3x. Negative times a positive is a negative again, and half times 1, and what's half times 1? 0.5. And then minus 3x. All right, so let's combine all the x's. So I'm going to put a circle here. This guy with this guy, I'm going to combine with this guy. And then way at the end, I'm going to have 0.5 minus 0.5. So I know it's going to be something x minus 0.5 and minus 0.5. So this is a candidate, this is a candidate, and this is a candidate. But this one says plus a half, which is the same thing as 0.5. But it's not plus a half, it's minus a half. So this one I can disregard right away. So let's combine the other 3. So it's 3. So I'm going to change 3/4 x, 3 over 4, to 0.75x. So I'm going to do that, minus 3x and minus 3x. So in your calculator, leave the x outside. You can do 0.75 minus 3 minus 3. So 0.75 minus 3 minus 3, it's going to give you negative 5.25. So final answer is negative 5. Let me just clean that up a little bit. Final answer is going to be negative 5.25x minus 0.5. If there's anything that looks like this, negative 5.5, 5.25. Well, this one doesn't even nowhere near it. 6 3/4, no. And guess who our winner is? Negative 5 1/4 is the same thing as negative 5.25x minus 0.5 or minus a half. So that's the only one that is the same. All right, so that's the something.